What's going on, Detroit Lions fans? Welcome back, Detroit Den 3 and 3 with Steve. Today, I'm going to be talking about some comments that I heard from the NFL Network. Daniel Jeremiah. If you guys aren't familiar with him, he works for the NFL Network. He does a phenomenal job doing a lot of draft coverage, combine stuff. I love Daniel Jeremiah. I think he's one of my favorite kind of like Todd McShay type people who kind of does a lot of draft stuff and all that. I really love the content that he puts out in the evaluations that he does of players. So this isn't like a knock episode, but I was listening to or actually I was just kind of scrolling through TikTok, I think, and I saw an interview that he was doing, and I looked up the whole podcast and watched it to get a better context. He was talking about who he thinks is going to dominate the NFC. And he said the Detroit Lions. Here we are. We have to talk about it. I have to throw my 2 cents in on this topic, and I've tried to upload a segment of that podcast onto here to give you guys somewhat of an understanding of what I'm going to be talking about, but YouTube keeps hitting me with copyright stuff. So final time recording, I'm just going to try to paint the picture the best I can. I will tweet out that episode with Daniel Jeremiah if you guys want to see that. But he just kind of goes on and talks about how he thinks the Detroit Lions are the best team in the NFC. One of the best teams in football, how we're going to dominate the division, I believe was his exact words. I have to agree. I think we're there. Trust me, as a Lions fan, we're all here. We've all been scarred. We all have a terrible history of watching Detroit Lions football. Times have changed. SOL is dead. These are the brand new Lions now. Expectations, we're going to meet them. I've said several times the last couple of weeks. In February, I plan on being down in New Orleans with all you guys, partying, having a good time responsibly, having some good food, watching the Detroit Lions win the Super Bowl. That's kind of how I'm planning my next 6-7 months here. That's what I'm planning on doing. I am going to tell you what I think the biggest reason is for why we're going to dominate the NFC at the end of this episode. So stick around, have a drink, little Sunday evening show with Steve. Hopefully you guys enjoy this, but let's talk about some things that we've lost. The Detroit Lions. We're going to talk about some subtractions, some additions. Losing Cam Sutton, Isaiah Buggs, Jonah Jackson, the Okora brothers, Benito Jones, Josh Reynolds, just to name a few. I'm sure there's a couple I missed, but I just kind of hit the bigger names. Who did we add to replace them, guys? I think we upgraded all of our subtractions, and everyone we added, I would call an upgrade. I don't think I'm being a homer there. I try to be level-headed when I talk about this kind of stuff, but I feel like we got better at every single position group that we lost. So the subtractions again, Cam Sutton, who did we add? We added Carlton Davis, Terrion Arnold, Ennis Rakestraw over starting Cam Sutton and Kendall Vildor, who's still trying to make this Detroit Lions team. Isaiah Buggs, who did we replace him with? DJ Reader, upgrade. Jonah Jackson, who did we upgrade with him? Kevin Zeitler for a cheaper, better economically, makes more sense for the Detroit Lions. Josh Reynolds, his position's kind of up in the air. I really like what Darius Fountain's doing in training camp. Donovan Peoples-Jones, not sure what's going to happen with him going forward. I haven't seen a lot of positive news in training camp, but this is all speculation. I haven't seen it myself. I'm really just going off of Twitter reports there, but I still think that with the additions of Fountain and some of our younger guys taking a step forward, like J-Mo and Sam Laporta being able to eat up some more targets, I think we're going to be okay with that Josh Reynolds loss. The Okora brothers, was never really a fan. Loved them when they came out from the draft from Notre Dame. I thought that they were going to be game wreckers. Just obviously that never translated to the football field. Who did we upgrade that with? A healthy Marcus Davenport. John Kaminsky out for the season. I think Pasco's looked good. Levi Onwuzurike, we have some guys out there we can throw on that edge. I think we've upgraded at every single position that we've lost. Just breaking it down that way and kind of looking at it. Not trying to knock anyone. Hey, I appreciate everything you guys did for us last year. We had a phenomenal football season, and a lot of those people who moved on to greener pastures were a huge part of that. But when I look at it and I say this is what we lost versus this is what we gained, our gains far more outweigh our losses. I truly believe that. So leave that in the comments. Let me know how you guys feel about that. Just kind of going player for player. Upgrading is something I can't believe that I haven't just looked at that already. But I mean, it's kind of been in my mind. I guess I just really haven't talked about it. So let's get into the draft. I mean, I think we hit another home run in the draft. How can I back up Daniel Jeremiah's comments that the Detroit Lions are going to dominate the future? First and foremost, you have to start with the draft. Draft and free agency is where you build your roster out. Draft, who do we get? We got Terrion Arnold, Ennis Rakestraw. We got some guys who are further down the line on the offensive line with Mahogany and Manu. We got some solid pieces that are going to help, and then some solid pieces that are going to help us in the future. I really love what we did in the draft. I called it an ugly draft, and I gave it an A. So that should tell you how I feel about the word ugly when it comes to draft. Sometimes you're not going to go out and get that, those big name receivers or running backs or quarterbacks. We didn't need anything in that area. We needed some defense. We got it. A lot of people were upset that we didn't get a pass rusher on the edge opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. We got guys. We got a bullpen by committee. I've talked about it 1,000 times. We got about 5, 6, maybe 7 guys in training camp who are fighting for that edge spot, that Sam linebacker position, James Houston. We got some guys that are going to be able to get after this quarterback. On top of that, we got some guys in the secondary who are absolutely showing out right now in training camp. Ennis Rakestraw, I've seen his name nonstop the last 3-4 days on Twitter, making plays, forcing fumbles, getting some interceptions. Our defense is looking good. How do you dominate? You have to be able to play complementary football, offense, defense, special teams. Sione Vaki, another kid we drafted, I think he's going to be a special teams nightmare. How big of an impact he'll have as a rookie kind of remains to be seen. We'll probably evaluate that later on in the year, maybe after a few regular season games. We'll kind of see what Sione Vaki's role exactly is. It's kind of up in the air right now. Could he play running back? Yes. Could he play safety, emergency wide receiver? Yes. But I think primarily he's going to be a special teamer. That's an aspect of the game. With a lot of these new rules, you need some guys like Sione Vaki, Germ. We need the most weapons we can have. I think defensively, offensively, special teams, I can't think of a team that matches up with us. I really just can't. I kind of have some questions about the kicking position. Jake Bates, I wasn't 100% in love with it. I know he's got a monster leg, but I need to see some consistency. He's missed some kicks in training camp. With the Money Badger going down for the year, I'm not sure. I know James Turner was a name that was thrown out. He was with us, went to Green Bay. They cut him. Curious to see what happens in the future if we're bringing in another kicker for a little competition there. So Jake Bates has been a little inconsistent. It's been a little bit unsure of his future going forward. I know he can bang out those 60-yarders. That's fine. But I need to rely on you from 40 to 50 yards. I need to put you out there and say 3 points. Not holding my breath, I don't know, gritting my teeth, wondering if he's going to make it. 40 to 50 yards, I need to know, hey, I can go grab a beer. We're getting 3 points on the field or on the board. Come back, catch the next kickoff. Let's get back after it. That's how I need to feel about my kickers. And I don't have that warm and fuzzy feeling with Jake Bates just yet. I don't know what the problem is. Get him coached up. I don't know. Hopefully we can figure it out because the kid's got a monster leg. So that's really my only concern, special teams wise. I really just feel like another aspect that is very under the radar. There's 2 things. Our coaching staff, everyone wanting to come back here and run it back. Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn could have took off to the NFL, other jobs in the NFL, and got some head coaching jobs. They decided to come back, run it back with Dan Campbell. Ben Johnson specifically saying, I want to run it back and win a championship. Like his mindset is there. I think we have an elite offense. I think Aaron Glenn, this is a big year for him. He's gotten a lot of heat the last couple seasons, from myself included, but the defense has played well at times, given the fact that I know we were missing a lot of pieces on defense, especially last year. So I think we got a lot of depth, a lot of guys we can move around offensively and defensively. Our coaches coming back just kind of builds that solidarity, just kind of, what to expect from your offensive coordinator instead of going to or having a team that changes it up every single year, just kind of always changing stuff, terminology, that kind of stuff. We don't have to worry about that. We got a phenomenal offensive coordinator and a phenomenal defensive coordinator who has a healthy team and some depth now. Aaron Glenn deserves a little bit of some slack. He kind of got roasted last year because there was a little stretch where we weren't looking so good defensively. But if you think about what we had injury-wise, CJ Gardner-Johnson, Emmanuel Mosley, missing guys like that on your defense and trying to fill it in with practice squad guys from other teams, Aaron Glenn was kind of up against it. So this year, I think he's got a lot of pressure on him, but I'm glad to have him back. I think it's kind of a make or break year for him in a way. So he's kind of another coach that I'm going to have my eyes on. We'll evaluate him after a couple of weeks as well. Another thing, guys, Brad Holmes has told you, I'm keeping this core team together. How do I set up for dominance? How do I set up for NFC dominance? It's keeping my guys that are huge impact players. So what did we do this offseason? Re-signed St. Brown, Penei Sewell, Jared Goff, locking them up. Taylor Decker. We're just going to keep our core team together, and we're just going to keep running it back. Our whole offense is returning. I like to see another big year out of Jahmyr Gibbs, who I think is a weapon. And we talked about what he brings to the passing team or the passing offense as well. Some of the routes that he's working on as a wide receiver, as well as a running back. I know him and St. Brown have some type of side bet going on that St. Brown said he'll buy him whatever he wants if he gets 1,000 and 1,000 yards receiving. So something to keep your eyes on. How hungry is this kid going to be? Because he said he's going to break the bank. Here's the last thing that I told you guys about at the beginning. The last reason why I think the Detroit Lions are geared for some dominance. And I'm talking long, sustained, season after season sustainability and just being able to dominate the NFL and the NFC Super Bowls. Let's throw out that word dynasty. It starts this year. The dynasty starts right here. We needed, this is the reason, listen up, hear me out. Growth and experience. We needed that growth and experience that we got last year. It sucks. I'm wounded. That NFC Championship game was the best thing that could have happened for the Detroit Lions last season. Guys, I'm going to tell you a story right now. When I was watching the Receiver documentary on Netflix featuring Amon St. Brown, my anxiety was kicking me. I knew it was coming. I knew I was going to have to watch George Kittle and Amon St. Brown in this NFC Championship game, knowing what the outcome would be. It hurt just as much, if not more, just having to relive it. I've tried to take that darkness in my mind from when we were at that game and kind of just all the negativity and the anger that I had. And I tried to just shelter that in the back of my brain and just forget about it. But it's here. It's a reality. And once I can sit down and I can say, this was a young team. We were expected to make the playoffs. The goal last year was to win the division, get a home playoff game, and everything else on top of that was just kind of, a little extra fluff. Getting to the NFC Championship game when we weren't supposed to be there, it was fun to watch. It was exciting, but we were a very young, inexperienced team. I mean, really the only person I think on our team last year who had like Super Bowl experience was Jared Goff, I believe. Like our team is very young, very, very young. Our core guys, that was kind of their first run in the playoffs as well. St. Brown, Penny Sewell, Hutch, Taylor Decker. Like it was really their first taste of the playoffs and going on a deep run against the San Francisco 49ers team who has been there. They just went there a couple years ago, lost to Kansas City. They lost to Kansas City again this past season. So Casey has their number. Guys, it sucked. I'm telling you, like I was heartbroken and having to do podcasts after games. I remember coming on after that San Francisco game. And if you guys watch that show, you can see how pissed off and hurt I was. Like it sucked. I was really like at halftime, I was looking at arrangements to go to the Super Bowl. I was trying to make some plans. Me and my wife trying to figure out, do we have to drive? Do we have to fly somewhere and drive, 5-6 hours to finish the rest of the trip? It sucked. We were making arrangements, kind of trying to say, hey, there's still 30 minutes of football left. Let's hold off. Got our hearts broken in the second half. We needed that loss. As painful as it was, I believe 20 years from now, when ESPN does a 30 for 30 on the Detroit Lions, and we go back to the 0-16 team, Matt Patricia, Bob Quinn, and they're showing all that, it's going to start with, where did this team turn around? It's going to be last season, 2023. They're going to highlight that NFC Championship game, and they're going to say that this is where the dynasty began. So leave it in the comments, guys. Let me know how you feel. Stick around, hit that like button. I'll be back later with another show. Thanks for watching.